had some success with some Zillow leads.
Oh yeah, I'm having a lot of success with Zillow leads.
That's
It's a
fantastic.
great, it's great because most of the clients don't have realtors, and I'm using them as a realtor introduction in a different sort of way. It's much more immediate.
Right. Absolutely. So
So
you're generating the Zillow leads and then passing them out to agents?
yeah, and I'm researching which agents I want to work with
I love that
before I
strategy.
just arbitrarily give it out to an agent.
Oh, that's fantastic, my friend. I think that's one of the best strategies I've heard. So look, if you don't mind me digging a little bit deeper, this wasn't what the call was about today, but I'm just kind of really curious. How many people do you talk to on a weekly basis, do you say, from Zillow, and what's the conversion rate? Do you know?
Uh, well, I've been tracking everything in a spreadsheet, which you sort of referenced in your last call that I watched.
Yep.
Um, so I've had about I've had about 65, 69 leads. I
Okay.
got 5 loans that are going to the closing table within the time frame that I've been getting the leads, which is about 6 weeks.
Okay.
And I've got another 5 that are working with me for sure that are closing in the months coming up.
And so a total of 10 out of 69.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Do you know what mathematically that turns into as far as the conversion ratio?
No, I haven't calculated that. It
Okay.
shouldn't be that hard. And then, there's other clients that have fallen away, or a bunch of, like I got 3 that are credit repair clients that
Yep.
were, I got probably about 15 credit repair clients, but 3 of them are actively working and will fall into the loan category too.
Got it. Got it.
So
Now
it's
my
quite a
math,
conversion rate for a
it's,
lead
I mean,
generated system.
well, when you think about cold calling and you think about people just reaching on, just talking to a random person and you having the ability to convert them, I don't really care. I love the fact that you have 10 closable deals from 69 leads that came in from Zillow that, in all fairness, wouldn't have come anyplace else. That's fantastic, Dave. I'm impressed. I really am. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. So here is a perfect lead-in, and if everybody's got their computer up, here's a perfect lead-in to what I want to get into today for all of those of you that are on the call. So I think Dave and Denise, you were the only two. I think we might have another couple people show up here in a little bit. But
I'm here. Cason's here too.
Oh, hey, Kason, what's up, buddy? So with respect
Hey,
to
guys.
everybody's time, I just wanted to make sure we got the ball rolling here as quickly as possible. So thank you again, guys, for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I greatly appreciate it. As Dave just alluded to, he has received 10 transactions out of a pool of 69 people, and probably even more so if they follow through on the credit repair. Dave, let me ask you a question in regards to those leads. Do you enjoy talking to those people on a monthly basis, or could you see yourself taking the leads that you're getting from Zillow and creating an entire business out of it without having to use Zillow as a means to create the relationships?
Well, in using the leads to create realtor business
Uh-huh. Yep.
and realtor connections, that's my goal.
Okay. Because
And
at some point,
at some point I'm going to drop off not needing Zillow because I have the
right.
realtor.
Right. But more importantly, I think you could still use the Zillow opportunity and create a different strategy that I want to explore with you that fits in exactly with what I'm discussing today.
Okay.
So you have 10 transactions that you're going to close. How many of those 10 people that you've closed transactions with do you believe could be or are already advocates of your business?
Yeah, definitely the 10 that are working with me to close. They definitely
Okay.
are. And the
So,
other credit repair clients are definitely
yep,
that too.
got it. And so how would you define if they're an advocate of your business or not?
By
Asking.
That's a good question. So I don't know if they're my advocates now, because my answer is by referring me business. Now, have ever any
Well,
of them referred? Not yet.
Okay, so and this is the point that I want to kind of hammer in today a little bit. Every single one of you guys has the ability of converting a lead. That's not the point. The point of this is that we have opportunities every time we get in front of a client, and I know Denise will attest to this as well. Every time you get in front of a client, you have the chance of creating an advocate of your business by basically under-promising and over-delivering, by setting the stage so that everybody understands that your business is created and maintained by what I call the triangle of trust. So when I look at your businesses, and part of the reason why this lead tracker is in place, not only is it to help us understand how many leads you're attracting to your business every single month, but I'm curious to know the source of the business that you're attracting every month. I always consider it a successful month when 30 to 40% of your current pipeline, meaning the pre-quals, the pre-approved buyers, and the people that are going to be closing that month, have referred you a current client referral. That's how I define somebody who's an advocate of your business. Would anybody else agree with that or disagree?
No, I think it's a good way to look at it.
Okay. So my question for you is, what do you think the difference between a client who says thank you to you is between a client that says, hey, listen, my sister wants to buy a house, or my uncle's looking to buy a home, or I have a friend that's talking about buying a home? What do you think the difference is between somebody that just says thank you for doing a great job and somebody who's actually advocating your business?
Asking for it.
True, but even if you ask for it, what do you think the psychology of the borrower is in order for them to become an advocate of your business as opposed to just saying thank you? Like, where do you think their head and feelings need to be? Like, what do you think let's use you as an example, Dave. Where do you have to be emotionally to basically refer or endorse somebody else's services? Do you have to be satisfied with them, or do you have to be...
I have to like them, and I have to be connected with them in some form.
Okay, so does everybody have a computer screen up right now?
Yes.
Does anybody not have a computer screen up? Okay, this is a key piece of this conversation. Does everybody see the emotional gas gauge that's labeled right here on the computer screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Everybody sees the word satisfied, correct?
Yes.
That is the baseline for what we do when we walk into the office every day. We, at the very minimum, want our clients to be satisfied with us. But if we were to look upon ourselves and ask us, where do we fall from number 8 to number 1, where do we have to fall emotionally to provide us a chance to refer a realtor, or to refer a home inspector, or to refer a financial planner, or to refer anybody in our life? Where do we have to fall emotionally with the level of service that we get from that person that we'd like to refer or endorse? Let's just assume from number 9 and below that nobody's going to be an advocate of your business if they feel any of those. Is that a pretty fair statement?
Uh-huh.
So Dave, where do you think you would have to fall emotionally on this ranking in order for you to be able to be an advocate of somebody's business?
For me personally, probably from number 7 up.
From number 7 up, okay. What about you, Kason?
Yeah, it's 6 or 7 for me. Probably 6. You know, I really want to, when I think about it, I want to be pretty ecstatic about what happened if I'm going to refer.
Okay. So you just said ecstatic, but that's number 1. But you'd say really...
but I'm saying joyful. I mean, I really wanted to have a good experience, and I put joyful in that. You know, that's something it stands out in my mind. Joyful.
Okay. What about... Hey, Tom. So I'm getting a lot of feedback from somebody who's...
So it's probably me.
Okay. Oh, Tony. It was probably Tony. No, I think it might have been Tony. Hey, Denise, are you there? Denise? Okay, Tony.
Yes.
How you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. What about you?
Awesome, my friend. Where do you think you would have to fall in order to be an advocate of somebody's business?
I would say number 3.
Number 3. Okay. So every one of you has already picked out where you would have to be emotionally to be able to be to advocate somebody's business. I believe that with where you fall, that's how you have to approach every one of your clients. That's how they have to feel about you in order for them to be an advocate of your business. It is necessary to ask, by all means, but the ask only comes after you're able to create that emotion in them. So if we talk about feeling joyful and happy and elated and vivacious and jubilant and triumphant and ecstatic, it's only an entry-level feeling when we satisfy our clients. So Dave, when I look at those 10 clients that you're working with or that will be closing or will have closed, I ask myself, where do they fall onto this an emotional gas gauge, and do they fit in the realm of, are they so happy with your level of service or so joyful that you could literally count on them to refer you, or are they really just encouraged or satisfied and pleased with the level of service that you've given and really don't believe that that you will ever be somebody that they could advocate? And that's a tough question to answer without talking to the client. And the question really comes up in a really artful way is, it's okay to sit down with your clients and ask them, maybe even at the closing. I love doing this at the closing. At the closings that I used to attend, I'd ask them, so how would you rank your overall experience? And I would give them the top 10, and I would ask them to circle it. And the ones that were elated or joyful, those are the ones that I knew that I really stepped up and we really exceeded or met their expectations in a positive way. And I knew that that would be a great opportunity to leverage them again yet for another relationship or another referral. Does anybody see how this could be powerful?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Thanks.
So the question that I'm really trying to dig deeper here with you guys is, when you look at your current pipeline and you have X amount of people in it, I'm gonna try and mute everybody. Tony, I'm getting way too much feedback from you, buddy. So hey Tony, I'm gonna mute you. Is that okay?
That's fine.
So what I'm trying to get you guys to understand is, yes, you can buy leads from Zillow, you can communicate in a variety of different ways, but I love the idea of being able to cultivate relationships out of your current pipeline. That gives you significantly more power than getting the lead from Zillow, which is still a great tool, it's a great pillar, but if you can take those leads from Zillow and create your own business out of them by getting each of them to be an advocate of your business or referral source, you tend to get away from having to talk to 69 people a month to close 10 deals. And that's what I want you to get away from, only from the standpoint is, at some point you're going to have too much business to talk to 69 people a month, or however long that you've been doing this for, to where it becomes counterproductive, and you're going to look for a higher conversion ratio. And what I use is, if you can approach your clients that are in the process with the mindset of, what do I have to do to get them to a higher level of being elated or joyful or vivacious about your service? That's the mindset that I want you to have when you pick up the phone and you have conversations with them. Your goal should be to get them to that level, and the way in which you do that can be done in a variety of different fashions. But the point is that if you're able to get them to that point, you guys have all agreed that at that stage emotionally, your clients are probably going to be advocates of your business, because you believe that that's where you would have to be in order to advocate somebody's business. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? Does it make sense?
Totally.
Yep.
It does make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody see how, when you approach your clients on a day-to-day basis, that understanding where their emotions fall could be helpful in how you dialogue and how you provide value and how you communicate your worth and how you reach out to them and ask them to help advocate your business?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. I think we spend a lot of time just satisfying our clients. I think we spend a lot of time just basically crossing T's and dotting I's and satisfying our clients' basic needs. But it's only when we exceed those basic needs, when we get them to feel much different about the way we're providing our service to them, that they become advocates. And so, Dave, it was a perfect opportunity to kind of segue into this. You have 10 opportunities to take really a chance and create 3 to 4 more opportunities out of those 10, not only just by asking, but being more aware of where they have to be emotionally to be advocates of your business. And I'm not saying that they're not going to all be elated and ecstatic with your service just because they don't refer you during the process, but if you can identify the people that are literally at the number 9 and above, you stand a better chance of being able to artfully craft situations that put you into position to be able to, ask and or receive those referrals. I have 3 logos on the screen here, guys, and I'm going to play a little game. Does anybody know what the first logo is?
Harley Davidson.
Oh, comes from a girl. Wow, that's awesome. What about the middle one?
Apple.
Apple. What about the third one?
Coca-Cola.
Coke.
Coke. Pretty easy, right? Those logos are pretty basic. If you think about each of these companies, let's use Coke as an example. Have you ever been in a restaurant where Coke and Pepsi are being served at the same time?
No.
Yeah. No, it's true. Never. It's true. It's always one or the
Never.
other.
No.
Yeah, that's right.
Never.
No.
And how many of us have refused to have either a Coke or a Pepsi based on our tastes, based on the offering at the restaurant? Like, I won't drink Diet Coke. I won't drink Coke. I'm more of a, when I drink pop, I'd probably drink Pepsi. like I'm diehard. I know it comes from my mom, but if I think about my tastes, I am a loyal, unwavering fan of Pepsi. I would never do Coke. And I'm sure we all have that kind of same decision-making process. And the same thing with Apple. Would you guys think that the people that buy Apple products repeatedly buy Apple products?
Probably.
Absolutely.
I have iPads, I have Macs, I have iPhones, I have iTouches, I have iPods, I have everything. So am I brand loyal? Am I an advocate of Apple? 100%. Which brings us to Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson probably has the highest cult-like following of any brand in the world. Would anybody disagree with that?
No.
They literally have people tattooing their logo on their arm. It's amazing when you truly think about the impact that Harley Davidson's brand has on people. So my question to you guys is, when you think about a Harley Davidson or you think about Apple or Coke, where do you think people fall emotionally on this gas gauge as it relates to their brand loyalty? Do you think they're all satisfied with the product? Or do you think that in Harley Davidson's example, they're ecstatic?
Ecstatic.
What's that?
Ecstatic.
Why do you think Harley Davidson is be able to create such a following and such a loyal base of people?
How they make people feel.
Bingo. Did you look this up somewhere? I almost feel like you're cheating.
No.
Harley Davidson
Yep.
Harley Davidson sells an emotion. If anybody's ever been on a Harley Davidson, their bike are tuned to vibrate at a certain frequency because it's what their client or their consumer wants. That's what they expect. When you jump on a foreign bicycle, a foreign motorcycle like a Ducati or a Honda or a Yamaha or a Kawasaki, it feels different than when you sit on a Harley Davidson. It's a feeling that's created, not to mention the imagery and the nostalgia that's been created. The point in this is this: you guys have a chance on a very smaller scale that every time that you're communicating with a borrower, you have the chance to create a very brand loyal cult following in your businesses. And it doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen just by chance. It needs to be orchestrated and premeditated, because without it, We get caught up in the day-to-day activities, and we lose sight of those moments that create those opportunities. See, every time you guys get in front of a client, you consciously make a decision to either create an advocate out of them or to just satisfy them. And we've all been in situations where we're extremely busy and we cut corners, we just say things to get through the appointment because our minds are someplace else, we're just exhausted. But the reality is that every time you're engaging with a borrower, you literally are making a conscious decision to either create an advocate out of them or to not create an advocate out of them. And the beauty of what happens when you create an advocate means that you become the person that they want to talk to first, or that they believe that their friends, family, and coworkers want to talk to first. That gives you the same leverage, David, that you have by creating the Zillow leads and converting them into opportunities and then passing them out to realtors. I just would like to see that over a period of time get shifted from strictly internet leads to those internet leads closing and turning into referral pillars of your business, because it still provides you the same opportunity to refer out realtors. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does this kind of psychology around what we're talking about, does it resonate with you guys? Are you guys following what it is that I'm trying to get across?
Yeah.
Hey Denise, why do you think it's so important to be mindful of what you're saying and how you're saying it? Why is it so important, or why should you be more mindful of it when you're meeting with your clients? I mean, we always seem to get business in the door, right? There's always going to be those days that we just always get business.
Right.
But how many of us have a real strategy around controlling it, like a volume knob?
Yeah, I think too. I mean, and it's. I mean, and I'm still practicing because it's hard. I mean, I like sitting there and building that rapport with the client. I mean, I had a meeting yesterday, and they were here for like over an hour, and we talked about business for probably about 15 minutes of that, and the rest was just getting to know each other and where they're from, and they're getting married, and just sharing stories. But again, I was in the process of building that rapport, but was I practicing, like, how am I going to get more business from them? I didn't do that well, and so it was kind of disappointing. And I didn't do the psychology. I didn't say, you know, I need a favor from you. I did it on my last meeting, but I didn't do it on my meeting yesterday, which was, I need you to do me a favor. While you're out looking at homes and you come across other people doing it, would you think of me? And I didn't do that. I missed that opportunity. So right. I think that would have been huge. Now, not to say that I won't do it again as I'm dealing with them, but it's not something I'm used to doing. It's
right.
You know,
but the moment of first impression is gone. They like you. Everybody that's on this call, we all are likable people. We are all very genuine and honest and loyal people, and we have no problems building trust with people. But unfortunately, like we had discussed in some of the earlier calls, 60% of your database that you talk to won't refer you unless you ask.
So now that I've missed that stage, what would be a good plan B to do at this point, since I've missed that?
I would call up the client and apologize. And I would say, you know what, I have to apologize, Mr. and Mrs. Client. We spent so much time getting to know each other that I failed to talk to you about the one quality about me that I need, you to understand. Much in the same way that your realtor, or much in the same way as your previous relationship was with your previous lender, that my business is 100% referred to me. I require that my clients are so ecstatic or so elated or so happy with my services that you become an advocate of my business. And part of me getting to know you is so that you understand how much I care, but I fail to mention to you how much it means to me that you understand that my relationship with you is predicated on the understanding that I want to create such a great experience for you that you want to advocate my business. And it starts, I think, with an apology of saying I missed a valuable part of the presentation yesterday. The next time you have a conversation with the client for the first time, this whole emotional gas gauge, it starts from the moment that you pick up the phone and talk to the client. We talked a little bit ago about, maybe a couple sessions ago, about what is the purpose and a reason that you talk to clients. Many of us spend most of our day just satisfying the needs of our clients. There's a lot of them. but we spend a majority of our day just satisfying those needs. Where we fail, where we fail is recognizing that in order to get them to become advocates, and again, let me clarify that for you. An advocate of your business is somebody who genuinely would refer you to somebody who they know in their life.
It does.
Now, I'm not saying, Tony, yes, sir?
Let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm listening to everything you're saying, and if you got a smooth transaction, if it's smooth, relatively, not a bunch of hiccups, then of course that's easier to do in terms of thinking about the psychology, with the customer. But what about when you have a crazy deal? I'm just curious about how you handle that. I got a situation right now with a customer, and it's not a huge deal, so it's kind of on eggshells. It's one of those situations where $500 can knock it over, and
Yep.
Well, what do you? I'm just curious about how you handle situations like that. If it's a smooth transaction, it's real easy to say, hey, send me the business, and how'd you enjoy everything? But I'm just kind of curious about, when it's a.
Were you on the call when we did the airplane analogy and the 985 things that could potentially go wrong?
Not the first couple of minutes. If it was the day, I wasn't. No.
It wasn't today. It was a couple weeks back. Would anybody care to answer Tony's question before I do?
You mean as far as presenting the list to them?
Well, Tony's question is, everything's great. This whole psychology is great when everybody's hunky-dory and everybody's amicable. But what happens when a deal goes squirrely?
Oh.
Tony, go ahead, please.
Well, we have this handout. I actually gave it to the client, not the one from yesterday, but the one from the other day. I kind of gave them something, and I kind of made a joke about it. And I handed something to them, and I said during our entire process, I know how great this is going, and I know that we're getting along great, but somewhere along the way, you're going to possibly not like me very much because I'm going to continue to ask you for documentation. And I'd like to show this to you. So I gave them the list, and the guy actually read through the whole thing. It was hilarious, and we were cracking up about it. But he did. He read through it. And then I explained how the whole purpose of that was for him to know that our goal, my goal, and what I would do for him would be to help him navigate through that. I can't avoid it from happening, but my job, what I'm going to do for them, my intention of every step of the way is to help them navigate through all of that.
So really, Tony, what Denise is doing is she's managing expectations from the very beginning. A lot of times when we meet with clients, we are all roses and candy and everybody's smiling and everybody's happy. But a true consultant realizes that no matter how smooth the deal appears to be in the beginning, there's always going to be those chances where it could go south on us very, very quickly. Most of the time, LOs don't ever address the negatives, or they don't ever address people's fears. And I think in the beginning of your initial consultation, managing fears and expectations are one of the biggest reasons why we get paid the money we do. So to your point, a lot of it has to do with our inability of preparing the client and managing those fears and expectations. Most of the time when a client gets upset, it's because they didn't expect it, we didn't provide them the insight that it was going to happen, or it just came about and it bit us in the behind. And sometimes that just happens. I mean, there's certain situations that we just can't, that we can't predict. But the fact that you start off the relationship by managing those fears and expectations, much the same way that Denise did, was, listen, Tony, we're going to go through this process, and the home buying process today is harder than it was 30 days ago. If you haven't bought in a home in the last 30 days, it's going to be infinitely harder to get a loan than what you're used to going through. And so let me just kind of give you a heads up of really what's about to happen. There's literally 85 things that could go wrong, and most of which are nothing you can control or I can control. So as we go through this process, I want you to know that I've seen most of these things, and I've done a really good job of navigating them. But as we go through this process, I want you to understand that I empathize with the struggles and the challenges, and I'll do my best to maintain that high level of professionalism and high level of service, because as I've told you before, my business is 100% relationship based. Your happiness all the way through the process and even at the closing is all that matters. Now, I know that there'll be times that you'll be mad at me. I guarantee it. Tony, I know that before this deal's over with, there's a great chance that you're going to want to hang up the phone at me and call me names. But I get that, and I know that it's built around emotion. So if that script is used in the very beginning, if nothing happens and the deal goes perfectly, where do you think that emotional level goes for that client? Do you think they go from satisfied to ecstatic? The difference is if you don't have that conversation, you're going to go from somebody who's pleased down to somebody who's number 15 and 16, frustrated and angry. It's all in how we present ourselves to the client, and it's all about how we set the expectation up. Does that answer the question, my friend?
It does. Yes, sir.
So my advice to you in those situations is you can't fix everything. You can't predict everything. But that conversation takes 10 minutes or less, and you've established a standard or you've established a baseline from which to operate from. Now, here's the other point of it. If it becomes a personality issue, if it becomes somebody who's just a difficult person to work with, then you have the right as a loan officer to tell them that you have no interest in working with them anymore. And I tried to do that in the very initial application because my conversations always would uncover whether or not they were going to be easy to work with or not. But if it's a personality thing, it's just what is. You know, that's the other 20% of the population that won't ever refer you just because that's who they are. That's just the kind of personality they are. What I'm trying to focus on is if it's not the personality and it more has to do with the tactical part of the transaction, I think managing the expectations from the very beginning and explaining to people what could happen increases your credibility, increases your ability to be trustworthy, but more importantly, it provides people with a very low expectation of it going flawlessly. So if something does happen, they're not surprised. And in fairness, you can pull out the sheet that, you know, if you have it, or somebody can send it to you, or I can. You can send them the sheet and go, here, look at number 48. Number 48 says A, B, C, D, and E. Here's what happened. Remember, we talked about this. Does that make sense?
It does. And I actually did that with this young lady.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple of deposits that were unsourced, so when she came in to sit down, I said, listen, this is going to come up again in underwriting. So when it came up, you know, she was frustrated. I said, hey, I told you, you know, it was going to be an issue. This is how we're going to have to handle it. So, but I appreciate, you know, what you said about the personality thing, because, you know, sometimes we don't, you think about it, but you don't. But when you do, you're kind of like in the thick of everything, you know, once it occurs or happens.
You have to be careful. I think a lot of times when we interact with our clients, we believe that they're the ones that are in control. When you sit down in the very beginning of the consultation and you kind of lay out who you are and why you do things, it's more of an equal relationship. It's more of a reciprocal relationship. And I think at those times when a client becomes unpredictable or they become unaccepting of the realities and you've done your best to map it out for them, it's okay to look at them and go, you know what, Mrs. Client, I apologize, we're going to do our best. And then just categorize them in your brain to that 20% that's never going to refer you, and you just have to accept that that's going to be the case. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't let that relationship dictate how you handle all the other people you interact with, because that's where the cancer starts. That's where the negativity flows in and infects all the other relationships. And it's imperative that you compartmentalize that one relationship and put it away and realize that that's the 20%er, so that you've got time and energy to focus on the other 80% of your pipeline that is referable, you know, that does look at you as being referable if you ask and you do a good job.
Okay, that helps.
Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
Awesome. So I guess as we reach the halfway point of our little contest of lead generation, my question is there anybody on the call that has gotten a current client referral from their database, from the people that they've been tracking since we started the program?
Not since we started a few days ago, but from previous. I mean,
I'm talking about the lead tracker contest that we have going on right now. We're halfway through.
Okay.
Has anybody gotten a current client referral? All right, good. Here's what the challenge is for you guys before the end of the contest. You guys have, all of you have an active pipeline of business. Whether they're pre-approvals, whether they're in process, you guys have people that have committed to working with you. And the cool part is that they've committed to working with you because they like you, know you, and trust you. So the contest or the game that I want to play with you guys is I want to see in the remaining next 2 weeks who's going to be able to cultivate a relationship with their clients that gets them to be higher than satisfied and is capable of asking them for a referral and get one.
Okay.
It's free. You're not calling on somebody who doesn't already know you and like you, and it actually helps you increase your customer service level, and you're now more cognizant of how they have to feel about you to be an advocate of your business. So my challenge to you is over the next 2 weeks, I want to see who's capable of getting the most current client referrals. It's not easy. Trust me, it's not easy. But the point is that if you're not thinking about it, you're never going to do it. If you don't recognize the opportunities that are in front of you, you're going to miss them. If you spend an hour and a half meeting with your clients and you talk about life, love, logic, relationship, politics, whatever, but you never explain to them why you do business, you're only keeping them in the satisfied level. You're never going to get them into the joyful, elated, vivacious, and higher emotional levels in order to be that advocate of your business. Does anybody feel like that's going to be an impossible task?
Nope.
Everybody? No? Does everybody agree? Does anybody not want to do this? Come on, nobody's going to wig out? Nobody's going to say I can't do it?
We should be doing it, so it's just.
I'm curious to know. I'm curious to know how you guys are going to go about doing it. Meaning, I want to hear a success story. I want to hear a story on next week's call. I don't even care if it turns into a current client referral. I just want to hear I went up to bat. I went up to bat and I've asked 5 people for it, and here's how the conversations went. You have to start asking for it, and you have to start paying attention to the psychology and the emotions of your clients. We are not in the business of we're not in the business of satisfying our clients. McDonald's satisfies their clients. McDonald's, Burger King, Arby's, Taco Bell, they satisfy their clients. We are not a commodity. We are not here just to satisfy our clients. Rocket Mortgage or Rocket Loan or whatever they call it, that's a satisfying a client. There are so many ways that we can create a higher level of emotion with our clients if we're just engaged with them in a way that we recognize that what we're doing and what we're saying and what we're presenting has a chance to raise their emotional level with us. So that's the challenge for next week. Everybody's in?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, guys, for those of you who are on the call, hey, Kason, how many leads are you at for your lead tracker?
I'm at 8.
You're at 8? And
Yep.
David, are you in?
Yeah, I'm in.
How many leads do you have for the month, or for the last 2 weeks?
How many leads?
Yes. Oh, I don't know if you signed up for it because I don't think you were the class, but 2 weeks ago when we did our last live class, that was at 1 o'clock, I had posed a challenge to everybody for a little contest of who could generate a certain number of leads, and everybody said, well, I'm going to do 19, or I'm going to do 12, or I'm going to do 20. And so I'm curious to know. I don't think you signed up for a number. So I mean, just as an example, how many leads have you gotten for the last 2 weeks?
I mean, in regards to asking for referrals.
No, how many leads have you gotten? Just, I don't care if you bought them generically.
I've gotten from realtors. I've gotten, because I've only got like 3 or 4 right now so far.
Yep.
I've gotten
that's fine.
4 leads so far.
Awesome. And what about you, Tony?
At about 6.
Okay. And Denise?
19.
Whoa.
19. All right. So I think next week's call, Ms. Perez can talk about how she generated 19 leads in the 2-week period of time.
I I'm not going to be a good example. It's been one of those things. I've been very active of looking at my lead tracker every day and reaching out, but they've just kind of come to me the last couple of weeks. I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
Good for
I'm
you.
not a good example. I'm not a good example.
No,
I'm in
that's
Florida.
a great example. That's a great example.
It's a great
What are you talking about?
It's a great example of if you're engaged and you understand what your business really is, it comes. Denise has been plugged in. She has been engaged with her clients. She's practicing the scripts. She's engaging in the conversations to create referable moments, and she's asking people. She's asking people in every walk of life. She's getting referrals from other loan officers in the company. She's getting other loan officers to refer her.
Because I'm licensed in Florida, and because I
Right.
speak Spanish. So people that don't speak Spanish are reaching out to me to reach out to their Spanish clients, and I've made some incredible relationships. You know.
But Denise, you're minimizing the one key point. Denise is referable.
Okay.
The whole
Right.
point in this is you have to learn to become referable, and everything we're talking about right now, understanding the emotions of people, helps you become more aware and become more referable. And so Denise's ability to attract other people to refer her, whether it be clients, loan officers, realtors, whoever, it's because she's engaging in the act of being referable. And that's the point of everything we're talking about. The lead tracker is the mechanism to track how referable you are, but the principles of referability, of which today's class was really about, is again one more cornerstone to what makes people referable. And a large part of it has to do with understanding where people's emotions have to be in order to be referable. That's all I got, guys. That's my class. Anybody have any questions for me?
No, thanks, Doug.
Was it helpful today? Was this at all valuable?
This is great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to practice that asking still.
All right, next week's class, I want to hear some success stories. I'm not going to do any talking next week. It's going to be the floor is yours, and I want to hear success stories about your asks and or success stories around if you were able to get them. Have a great week, everybody. Make it a great weekend. Enjoy your days and family.
Bye.
Thank you, Doug.
All right.